Hey everyone, welcome back to the YOUnify podcast. If you're new here, my name is Brandyn Keating. I'm the co-founder and CEO of YOUnify, a nonprofit organization helping you flourish and thrive. And I'm also the host of our podcast. I'm super delighted to be here today with Freya Berkhout. She is a multi-award-winning composer, vocalist, writer, and creative technologist based right here in Los Angeles. Her passion is to manifest profound, emotional, and thought-provoking experiences. And she released her debut solo album, Fruit, in 2023 and plays shows all around the U.S. Freya, welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. So Freya, your work sits at this super interesting intersection of music, storytelling, and technology. What first drew you into this sort of multiplicity of fields, and how are you weaving them all together?
Such a good question. They all kind of happen separately. I've been doing music since I was 4. I'm a classically trained pianist and got into choir when I was 7. So music is kind of in my bones, and I think it was always going to be the path. And then along the way, I ended up starting an experimental pop band when I was at university.
As one does.
As you do. It was quite by accident, and then it ended up going really well and kind of changed my musical perspective. And I think the seed was planted for film music when I was about 10 years old, when I saw Lord of the Rings, which like blew my tiny mind. And I walked out of the theater just being like, I didn't know film music was a thing.
Yeah.
I grew up with parents who are town planners, so I was not exposed to that much. Like adults who were creative, like they had us doing creative pursuits, but it was very much like about, honing those skills rather than, I didn't know that it was a job. So that was kind of what planted the seed when I was 10. And then I got into film music because a producer saw my band play at a festival. So that was kind of the first opportunity I had to actually score a film. And I was like, okay, this is one of the things that I've like always wanted to do. And then many, many, many years later, the technology part came in. I mean, I'm an engineer, so obviously produce my own work. So the tech part of it is kind of the invisible part of the film scoring stuff and creating music as well. But I did my master's in computational arts when I lived in London. And part of the appeal of that was that I saw that the technology was changing, and I had a sound practice that I wanted to add some interesting technological aspects to. And I was like, I need to learn how to program and understand how these tools work, because I think they're going to elevate my art practice. So I wear many hats. I don't feel like they come all together that often. Storytelling and music, obviously with film is very cohesive, but I also work on like interactive installations for brands and museums and galleries. So that's where the sort of creative technology stuff comes in, like more interactive sorts of works. So
fascinating.
Kind of a wild set of things.
It's a wild set of things. So I'm curious to hear more about young Freya. You're Sydney born.
Yes.
And tell us more about what you were like as a kid and how you became this fascinating person with all of these talents.
Thank you. I think I had music in me before I even started learning music. So there are videos. I lived in Hong Kong when I was a child. So I was born in Sydney, and then we moved to Hong Kong for a year and then moved back before I went to school. And there are videos, because we had access to cameras at that time. Video cameras were really expensive, but in Hong Kong they were more affordable. So I've got videos from me as like a 2-year-old where I was writing songs and singing them in the background of these videos. And I'm like, just sing my song, And I think there's something innate, I think, in me that was then honed when I started doing music. And I don't know if I wanted to learn piano. I don't know if there was something that was like drawing me to the instrument, but it just felt like I wasn't a particularly good student in the sense that I played all the time, but I didn't necessarily do my practice. But my teacher was unbelievably accommodating. I think she really saw that I was someone who had a real passion for it, even if I wasn't going to do the sort of rigid, structured way of learning.
Yeah, she could see that spark in you.
Exactly. And really wanted to like cultivate that, which I appreciate so much, because I think especially with classical music education, it can be very rigid.
Yeah.
And after a long time of doing that, I really was like, I actually need a break from this now. So when I went to university, I ended up I did an Asian studies degree, because I was like, I've just done music for so long that I need to like have a break, which is when the band started, obviously. I couldn't actually get away from it.
No escape.
No, that's what I was saying. It was
My
always
break
there.
will be starting a pop band. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. I started writing music when I was 11. You know, I think choir really unlocked something for me, because I had been singing all this time in a sort of unstructured way. And then I found out that it was the thing that you can do with other people. And I was doing sort of solo stuff with choir as well. Like I would audition for parts and get those, because I think I just showed a real, like a knack for it at a young age. And yeah, that like Lord of the Rings, and also I think a lot of the singer-songwriters that I was listening to, so like some Australian people here, like Delta Goodrem and Missy Higgins, who are they're not that famous in America, but they were women that I was looking to who were doing like singer-songwriter work that I was like, oh, I play piano and I sing. Like that feels like it brings together the things that I'm interested in. So I wrote my first song when I was 11, and it's called Take Life Slow. I have never taken my own advice.
Wise words for an 11-year-old.
She was quite a wise 11-year-old kid. Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a recording of that, and it's kind of amazing to have like this time capsule of that moment.
Oh, incredible.
My music teachers at school were like, hey, you should record this. They encouraged me. So I think like I'm a product of, you know, teachers who really saw something in me and wanted to help and like cultivate that kernel. And I'm so grateful for that. I think that's where the power of teachers is just unbelievable, like to have that kind of support when you're a child. And I was like an ambitious kid, you know, they're probably like, this plucky kid wants to like record her music, like let's do it. And I think, I don't know, I would perform at our school concerts. That was like a really big thing at my high school. I performed in every concert while I was at high school, which we did 3 a year. So that was a lot of concerts.
That's significant,
Yes, for 6 years. So I would often perform my own work. And I think that was one of the ways that I feel grateful that I got to experiment at a really young age before I had a lot of cognizance about how much I would be judged.
Yeah.
So I was young enough that I think I just didn't really care what people thought
that sense
much.
of fearlessness and possibility.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel really
Before
grateful.
That's beaten out of us. Yeah.
Totally. To have that kind of freedom and just to explore. And then, that kind of all came together in the band when I was at university. And kind of, like my band partner and I, Alex, we kind of unlocked each other. We'd both come from singer-songwriting work. And then we're kind of like, we just ended up writing really weird stuff. And we're like, maybe we can use our voices in a way that sounds ugly. Like, what if we did that, you know, and sort of liberated each other from this expectation of like, this is how a song is meant to be. And I think that has been with me for the rest of my life, you know, that liberation of against needing to sound a certain way, to find perfection. Like, I think perfection is such a dangerous thing with creativity, you know?
Yeah, with anything,
Absolutely.
right? It just constrains possibility and innovation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I feel really lucky that I kind of had that. I was 19. So it was this turning point between like becoming an adult and being like, oh, I think this is actually going to inform my practice for a really long time. And it has. It really did liberate me away from quite a rigid, I mean, not as rigid as it could have been, but my classical music education. So I'm grateful that I had this moment then that felt like a kind of crux of moving forward with all of the other endeavors that I ended up kind of pursuing.
So speaking of all of your endeavors, if you were to just kind of try to say in very simple terms what it is you do to like somebody who does not come from creative background or creative field, how would you explain that to like the average listener who might be randomly happening upon this podcast? So
my main job is I'm a film composer. So I write the score to films. Like Hans Zimmer or Howard Shore. And that is how I make most of my money. And then a musician, I mean, I feel like most people understand what that is, but I'm an electronic musician and an experimental musician. So the way that I approach that is just trying to find interesting sounds. I'm trying to find something that like makes my little ears stick up. I'm like, what is that? And I do a lot of field recordings. So I capture sounds from the world, and I often build those into my work. I really love doing that. I love something tactile and kind of unusual. And then creative technology is a really interesting growing field. As a creative technologist, I am often writing, I'm still working in the sound space.
Okay.
So I'm writing the music or like a soundscape or an atmosphere for an interactive work in a gallery. Okay. And that's much more art focused. So it feels really fluid. When I'm working as a film composer, I have the story that dictates what the music needs to do and the kind of emotional arc that we're taking the audience on. But with an experimental art show, you have a lot more space to be weird. And it definitely feels like, in the art space. Yes.
I think we could all use a little more space to be weird.
Definitely. I'm always looking for weirdness. I feel like it's what I want. I want to find something that kind of surprises me, and delights me.
Yes, that's surprise and delight. Yes. Beautifully said. Yeah. So one of the things we talk about here on the podcast a lot is flourishing. What makes us flourish and thrive? How can we all be leaders who cultivate in one another, flourishing and thriving? And I'm just curious, like, as a human, is there something right now that you are challenged by when it comes to your own flourishing, and maybe one thing that is helping you flourish and thrive?
Yeah, I think I'm always trying to work with my brain ruminating. So one of the things that gets in the way of my flourishing is definitely my brain kind of overthinking certain things. I'm fairly sure I have OCD. I'm not diagnosed, but I think that has felt like something that I've been aware of for a really long time. Yeah. And I'm trying to work with it rather than fighting it, but I know that sometimes it gets in the way. And I think the way that I manage that is I'm a daily meditator. I have migraines, and meditation changed my life. I haven't had a migraine since I've been meditating.
Incredible.
They were definitely stress induced, so that was entirely the reason why. But I think the way that I flourish is finding space for experimentation. So remembering why I do this.
Yes.
What is it that I've set out to do? It's really easy to get wrapped up in the day-to-day life. I have deliverables. I'm always juggling a bunch of projects. And I think I have to make space. I actually do a thing, I haven't been doing it for a while, but this is a good prompt actually. I started doing a little nightly practice called Hour of Power, where it's actually how my album came to be. So I hadn't released solo music before. I'd been in bands for a really long time, and I started realizing that the composers I was looking at were kind of feeling a bit jaded because they were giving everything in their creative practice away to the projects that they were working on, and they weren't kind of keeping something for themselves. And I was like, I need to make sure that I'm filling my own cup. Yeah. So I started doing this thing every night where I just spent an hour with play. No expectations. It was like musical play. I'm like, anything that comes out is fine. It's not meant to be anything. Maybe I like have a new instrument and I'm just going to play around with it and get to know it. And it kind of changed my life. And I ended up accidentally writing an album. I just had a bunch of things, and I had some poems that I sort of fitted with them. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm going through at the moment. I kind of need to honor this and actually just do it properly and release it. So Hour of Power has been like a really beautiful practice for me. So I think just remembering, even if you're not creative in your work, I mean, everyone is creative, right? It's a human trait. It's how we got here. We are curious creatures. We want to build stuff. Yeah, whether we're playing in spreadsheets or we're playing with instruments, right? Exactly. There's innovation in all of those places, right? So I think remembering that you kind of have to make the space for that. It's not going to happen on its own, even when you're creative with your job. Yes. Which for me, it's just about coming back to what I value and making sure that I'm kind of making space for that weirdness and experimentation. That's like, who am I? How am I developing? Like making space for the person that is unfolding in front of me as well. So that practice has been really valuable. And I think it's something that anyone can do. I absolutely love that. I love not only the practice, but I love that you call it Hour of Power. Yes. Because I feel like, so
so often when we think of power, we think of turning those things off that are that magic inside of us and trying to strive and do something that's outside of us. And you're actually reframing it as reconnecting with our inner power and sort of making sure that we're releasing that light that can then light up the world. And in fact, in last week's podcast, we're talking about something very similar. So we'll link that below for everyone if they haven't seen that. Yeah. But yeah, that's a beautiful practice. And I think it's so true that no matter what field we're in, for most of us, we started in that field because of a joy and a passion. And it's so easy to get disconnected from that. And, you know, maybe if our field isn't yet connected to our joy and our passion, there is still something somewhere in our lives that is and can help us be more joyful in our work. So but what a beautiful practice. So sound and music are really powerful storytelling tools, and really powerful tools for emotional connection, you know, which is really important to us in our work, bringing people together across differences. It's why we love to work with artists like you. But I would love to hear more from you just about why you think that is. Like, why are stories and music such powerful tools for connection?
I think they get into our heart before our brain has a chance to turn on. So for me, it's always, I mean, storytelling, I think as a songwriter, I was always telling stories, even as a child. And I think music is it feels like a subconscious language in some ways, right? Like a lot of the time I'm writing music because I'm trying to articulate a feeling that I can't articulate with words. And it's something that I have this feeling inside me and I want to give it to you. I want to like transmute it into something that can go into your brain and your body. And I think storytelling for me, the reason why I was drawn to film was because I have an agenda. The films that I work on have a social agenda.
Yeah, say more about that.
I really, really care about getting stories to the world that are about acceptance, identity. I'm queer. My films knew before I did that I was queer.
Wow.
So I was part of telling these stories and being like, oh, I feel like I kind of fit in this community. And it was like, oh, that's trying to teach me something. And sometimes the art wants to teach you something and you need to be receptive to that as an artist. Like there are ways that it will influence you. And I think for me, like I work on so many projects that are about queer joy, films about understanding who you are and accepting that and coming to terms with it and living authentically in the world. And I think like these are the kinds of stories, feminist stories, you know, like about finding that power, that inner power, because we abuse power in this world, right? Like power is seen as something that is used to dominate. And I think that's why my practice matters to me, because it's that inner power, like your flame.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I always want to work on stories that change the culture. It's really simple. Yeah. So that's why storytelling for me.
Amazing. Well, and you've said, I want to break people and put them back together with my music.
Yes.
And I want to take people on a profound journey and fill them with light, which I think is just gorgeous. And can you share more? Can you unpack that a little bit for folks? Like there's a lot going on in there.
There is. So I think I've had a long time to reflect on what I want as an artist, like what my mission is. And I think I'm always trying, when I write, I'm always trying to heal myself first. But I know that that is what I want to give to people. And I think what music can do is crack your heart open, you know? The point of it is to find a profound sense of self and belonging in the world, like a connectedness to nature and with each other. And I think music is one of the most direct ways that we can do that. You get people to, I've started doing sound baths. So have people lying down while I perform. And it's just the most beautiful experience to have them in that container with me. And I always want to usher people through safely, you know. But for me, it is about getting into something that is reconnecting with why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for me, that's how you live on, you know, in people's memories when you're gone and in your art. And we don't have that long on Earth.
Turns out no. And it just, that's what they don't tell you. It just keeps going faster.
Exactly. I know, as you get older, you're like, oh, I feel like the years are passing way more quickly. Yes, exactly. And so for me, it's about being present in those moments together. Yeah. And I think I know that when I'm really listening to my music, if I can sort of separate the ego from the person who wrote it, I just want to be held. And I think that's what drew me to it in the first place, honestly. Like, I think I didn't know that at the time. But, you know, as you get older, you can reflect in hindsight and be like, oh, what was it that I was actually doing there? And I mean, I've been writing music for 25 years now, which sounds like a kind of wild thing to say. And I've been a film composer for 16. So I've been doing this for long enough that I can sort of see these iterations over time of how my practice has changed, what I've been drawn to. And it is just finding connection with other human beings and on planet Earth. Like, they sound like lofty ideals, but that is what art is for. Absolutely. It is for that connection. And I think film is such a great vehicle for that because it's still commercial. So we're like trying to smuggle this beautiful this beautiful experience into something that a lot of people can see. And I think that's always been appealing because I just want to get my work to as many people as possible. I want to heal myself and other people. So yeah.
So what's next? What's on the horizon? What's lighting you up now? How can people engage with some of this magic?
Yes. Oh, lovely. So I'm working on 2 feature documentaries at the moment. One is premiering at the Indian Film Festival of LA at the end of the month.
Exciting.
It's called Breaking the Code, and it's about Kanwal Rekhi, who was the first Indian to ever IPO a company in Silicon Valley. He's an incredible man who kind of paved the way for Indians in Silicon Valley who have a lot of power now. So he really did an incredible job. And the other one is about a couple in a year in their life. It's the most intimate look at a relationship I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. Really? And it's about a year in their life where one of the partners was transitioning and the other partner was having a lot of trauma come up, and it's about how they connect with each other through that time. And it's a very queer story, it's a very feminist story, so for me it brings together a lot of the kind of the things that matter to me, but it's also just musically the most incredible like gentle process because we're talking about a lot of dark things in the world, but we're also trying to find a sense of resilience. So those are the things that I have my head in at the moment, but I'm also always working on a lot of horror films. So I actually love scoring horror. Yes. Experimentalism.
We're going to open your heart, hold you, but then also horror. I love it.
Yes. And I think, again, like what attracts me to it is musically I can really experiment. There's space. Like horror audiences want a novel experience of being scared, right? They want to find something different. But also there's a catharsis there in turning towards the darkness that's in all of us. Yeah. So for me, I've found I was such a chicken when I started working on horror films. I feel like I sort of started to understand what it was that people were really attracted to. So I'm always working on a few horror films at any given time.
That's incredible.
People can follow along at my Instagram. And I think if there are ever any like filmmakers who are watching this or other artists who want to collaborate with someone who is interested in the kind of stuff that I'm interested in, reach out. I love building community. I'm someone who really believes in no matter what stage you're at, you have something to give back. Yeah. I think we often feel like we need to make it to us, whatever that means, to a certain stage before we can give back. But it's like grassroots level, there are ways that we can always help. And I know that even with the thing that I have so far, which I want to grow a lot more, there are already people that ask me questions and I'm like, oh, I actually do know the answer to that, or I can open a door for you. Yeah. So I think that grassroots way of supporting each other for me is like an essential part of my practice, actually.
Yeah, so important. Yeah, that we can do that community building and that grassroots engagement, no matter what sector.
Oh, absolutely. In. It's in everything. We need to organize.
Exactly.
We have to be organized.
You're speaking my language, Freya. So what's the best way for folks to reach out to you, connect with you, organize with you, support your work? Is it to reach out through your Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is probably best. So it's at Freya.Berkhout, or Freya.Berkhout, seeing as I'm in America.
Perfect.
Yes. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and I love connecting.
Yeah, so we will link all of the information to connect with Freya below and to check out her projects. And we'll also link a few podcasts ago, we had Ben Recchi on, who is the son of Kamal Recchi. And so we will link that episode below as well. So y'all can also connect with Ben, who is making that film about his father. Speaking of organizing and connecting.
Yes.
And if y'all are feeling like you're getting something out of the podcast, like it's inspiring you, please do. A thing you can do right now to help out is to press that like, to leave a comment. We'd love to know what lights you up or what you're challenged with your flourishing or what's working for you. Press share, press subscribe. All of that just helps more people get access to the information. So it's an easy thing you can do right now to make a difference. And so, Freya, when you are in these difficult situations with like these intense circumstances that you're filming in documentaries with folks, like you mentioned, that very intense relationship, how do you like sort of fortify yourself and stay in a creative space and maintain your ability to sort of convey the art of it all?
I think so. Hiking for me is really important. I love cooking. So like touching grass, making food to kind of nourish my body. Those are kind of daily practices that for me anchor me in my own brain.
Beautiful.
And I think partly what you have to remember, and I'm starting to get to a point where I'm really valuing this because I'm working on enough that you get spread really thin. And if you don't fill your cup, you can't do the work.
Yeah.
So for me, it is valuing actual downtime.
Yes.
That is genuinely like reading a book or just going outside, doing a hike. I mean, even in LA especially, it's like you can drive for 45 minutes and go somewhere that feels so far away from being in the city. So being in nature for me is just like my number one way of kind of resetting. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a many days long thing, an afternoon hike and you're like, oh, I feel like I remember the earth.
Yes.
I remember why I'm here. So I feel like those things have become more and more important as I kind of continue on. But yeah, nature and food, weirdly, and people, I think as well. Like in a sort of gentler context, like less sort of networking and more in community, where you're kind of sharing. I'm part of a few different groups where we sit down for like dinner parties and basically try and help, like talk about what you're trying to manifest or talk about what you need help with, and just giving back, I feel like is always such a beautiful way to like, I don't know, to give that energy in a different way and then fill up in a different way. So
it turns out that it nourishes us.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes,
in certain ways. Yeah. And of course, in organizing and community organizing and movement building, one of our key mantras is we can't organize others if we aren't organized ourselves. And so part of that is that nourishment that the world kind of makes a little difficult for us these days. So I love that you're prioritizing that. Our time has absolutely flown by.
Yes, indeed.
We're going to have you back. There's clearly so much more. My last question for you is if somebody was listening about, a couple of the film projects that you mentioned, and like maybe they didn't really see themselves in that. Like maybe they are not like the first Indian business leader to
fair enough
to do an IPO, or maybe they're like, oh, well, I don't, I'm not a queer person. Are there some common themes that maybe anybody could relate to that you could quickly share?
Definitely. I think our common humanity and that thing that I mentioned before, which is the authenticity. I think what any outsider shows you're allowed to do in this world is be yourself. And anyone who's doing something in a different way, who's kind of fighting the tides of like the way that society wants you to conform, is giving you license to be yourself. So remember that
weird.
To be weird. Exactly, to bring it back. Full circle. Like those people are giving you permission. They're reminding you that you're allowed to be your freak self. So like remember that it might manifest in a particular way that doesn't resonate exactly with you, but what they're telling you is something in general that's like, hey, you're allowed to be yourself, and that we need you to be yourself actually.
Yes, it's necessary that we all are our full selves. Yes. Yeah, that we bring our fullness.
That's how you show up, and that's how I think people who are okay on the inside can show up outside. in an authentic way. So for me, that's like always the message is like, you belong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Beautiful note to end on. Folks, you belong. And please come back here next week. Check out all the links below or across our socials to connect with Freya and her beautiful work and build community. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
So good to be here.
What a pleasure.
I know. That was so good.